How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. Today I'm going to talk about how my base burn rate is only about $1,300, not including extra electronics I buy and also travel. The reason I exclude those is because those are discretionary. That's how much I absolutely need to live. I have to pay electric bill, I have to eat, but during hard times I can definitely not do any of those. I've talked about my burn rate. It used to be maybe $1,500. I lowered it even more, and I usually have this little spreadsheet that goes over every single item line by line. I'm not going to do that this time because it's just too repetitive. I've talked about this like 20 times already in previous videos. First of all, my burn rate is so low because I do not have to pay rent. I live in a home that I fully own, that I paid off in about 7 years using an engineering income. But in order for you to reproduce this in 2025, I know my own home has tripled in value since I purchased it. However, salaries has not tripled. It might have been maybe doubled or so. So instead of paying it off in 7 years, it might take 10 instead. And the way I do it is I'm a super frugal person. I've always been, even right after I graduated, right when I started work, I'm probably the oddball out. Initially, I have a couple of frugal things I would do, but over the years, I kind of refined on these, and now I have hundreds of them that I combine in order to get my burn rate so low. So in order to pay off the house, you have to be pretty frugal. You have to save a lot of your money and just stuff it into a savings account, and eventually you can pay off your home. So I can only talk about some of the more important ones in this video, and not all of them, because this is essentially the entire channel. I have separate videos for each of these basically, and you'll notice that the overall theme is I try to get the same basic service for the same amount of cost. One example would be your wireless service, right? You can go and get Verizon. I think it's like $100 a month these days, but instead I use Mint Mobile. It's around $20, $25 per month depending on how much data that you want, but it works well for me. And in my experience, yes, when I go out in the middle of nowhere, sometimes there's no reception for my wireless carrier, but some other people that has Verizon, they have it just fine. They can use the internet. But the instances of when this actually happens is very, very rare, once every 2 or 3 years or something for a day or two. So if you're okay with just having just a slightly lower level of quality of service, then you can pay a lot less. Mint Mobile, if you guys want that, I have an affiliate link for that in the video description. I want to talk about a utility bill hack. It's not a complete do it step-by-step type of recipe, but more of like a general guideline on how you can get it to be lower. This is something I heard of someone else do. This is not my bill. Due to some kind of clerical error, when there was a service switch over, sometimes they would actually make a mistake and not actually bill you. And the result of this is somehow it's not connected to the mothership, and then they never bill you. It's gas and electric over here, so you still get billed for gas, but not electric. What would you do in instances like this? Would you be a good Samaritan, call PG&E up and say, hey, why don't you charge me? Kind of like in that Silicon Valley episode where the employee sort of get lost in the system. He just keeps on getting paid. He doesn't have to do anything. It's kind of like that. This is amazing, right? Each single bill is $100 to $300 usually for everybody. Of course, usually with this kind of situation, you never know if, maybe like 6 months down the road, they find out and then they might say, hey, you didn't pay any bill for the 6 months prior, and all of a sudden you get hit with like a $3,000 bill. My guess would be due to the error, they're probably just gonna wipe it clean. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. But I think usually with these kind of billing errors, you just don't touch it. If you do anything with customer service, they might notice and then they're like, hey, what's wrong with this bill? Let's correct it and start billing you. I had an example of this myself, not with billing issues, but with owning a credit card. I actually own one. When I was like 16 or 17 and I wasn't supposed to. What happened was I called in, there was some issue with the credit card, and then when I called in, they just thought that I was super young. I probably have like a really high-pitched voice or something, and they like took me out of the account because I called in. So the whole lesson with this is don't fix anything that is not broken. Only fix it when it is broken. And with the instances like those billing issues, right? You really shouldn't even touch it. Maybe sometimes they might bill you like $20, $50, and you have no idea what it is. Just pay it anyway. Just don't touch it. For myself, I have PG&E over in California. I use ohmconnect. I use it so efficiently that On average, I get about $60 rebate back from ohmconnect, and I have an affiliate link for that. However, don't jump on it just yet. I did make a very special video on ohmconnect and how to push it to the limits, and I only listed that through my Patreon. This is because I think if I just made a public video, it might come back to bite me, because if it's out in the public, it probably would cancel out my benefits that I'm enjoying right now. But I will say, for gas and electric, you really have to optimize your usage. You use a watt meter, plug it into everything, know how much everything is using, minimize the standby power of everything. If you only use what you actually use, not stuff that you just leave on all the time, is actually very low. Replace the old transformer style of AC adapters. Those use a lot of standby power, and sometimes the switching AC adapters uses a lot of standby power, and you want to look for things that have like a little circle with Roman numerals V1. It's efficiency rating 6. It means it's really, really good. I actually bought one of those and I measured the standby power and also the conversion loss. It's really, really good. For internet, I switched from AT&T to T-Mobile. They use the 5G wireless network. It's no longer through the phone line. It's not through cable. It's using the same cellular network, except you have like a base station that connects to that. $35 a month if you use the bank transfer system. If you don't, then it becomes $40. So obviously I use that ACH stuff. Trying to save water is probably not the most effective, because one unit of it is like 700 some gallons, and that's $5. So around 80% of the cost is just to have the service itself. The rest of it is the water. So, you know, if you use twice as much water, it's only going to cost you 20% more. So when you realize that, it's just not worth it to try to save too much water. Of course, yeah, you should conserve, you know, use the low flow stuff. I've heard of some people where your water usually would run cold at first if you don't have the circulating type of plumbing. So you have to essentially dump 1 to 5 gallons worth of water before the water gets warm when you shower. So some people would actually save all that and use it to water stuff, right? But I think that's a bit too cumbersome. It takes too much effort because water is actually very heavy. You got to carry that from the shower. You might spill a little bit all along the way, and you got to carry a lot of weight from one spot to another. And each pail, you know, each gallon is roughly half a penny. So doing one single trip of carrying, let's say 3 gallons, you're saving 1.5 pennies. You can do this for like an entire year and you might only save $1. So that's my take on saving money on water. You have to know what actually is effective when you're saving money and lowering your burn rate. My trash service is nothing too extraordinary, other than I just get the smallest service possible, and that's the cheapest. I will say something about car insurance and registration. When I got my Tesla Model 3 Performance, I did not really think about how much that's going to cost me. My insurance now costs me maybe around $110 per month, and the registration's around $50 a month. Whatever amount that you pay for your car, your registration fee is going to be about 1% of that, at least in California. The insurance, because is a more expensive car, it's more expensive. So when you buy a car, just know that all of that is going to go up. It's going to increase your burn rate. Having said that, even if I knew what's going to happen to my insurance and registration, I still probably would have bought the car because I just like it a lot. Let's talk about groceries here. Did you guys know that if you sign up for their Safeway points thing, if you're in California, every once in a while, they'll actually give you $5 off of $5 so you can buy whatever you want. Historically, over the past 2 years or so, I got it like 3-4 times every single quarter. So they would stop this promotion and then start it again. So as long as you check every single week, you might actually get this super duper coupon, and you can use that on anything you want. A bag of chips. Sometimes I like to buy some meat that's exactly $5.20 or something and just pay 20 cents. You guys might wonder, how do I spend so little on my groceries? I've roughly $200, $300 per month or so. Here's a general breakdown. I buy a lot of meat from Costco except beef, because beef is not a very good deal there. I buy lamb, $6 a pound, organic chicken leg and organic chicken wings. I buy wild sockeye salmon, Argentine shrimp or regular shrimp, and rice, the 50-pound cow rose rice from Costco. All of that from Costco. I don't buy pork there because when I used to be very allergic to everything, I got the worst reaction from eating pork. So I just kind of, don't have a good feeling with eating pork usually. I might sometimes eat it, while going out, but I just don't buy it to bring home and eat. So usually I wait for a really crazy sale on beef at Safeway, and then I buy a whole bunch of it, like 10 pounds of ribeye steak or New York steak, and I cut it up, wrap it up and stick it in the freezer, and then I wait for the next sale, and then as I'm waiting for the sale, I consume what I cut up and freeze in my freezer. I buy vegetables every 3 or 4 days from Ranch 99 or Sprouts. I just depends on which one I go to, and I also buy organic free-range eggs from Sprouts as well. Turns out their 18-count eggs taste the best, at least over here in the Bay Area. And so let's move on to restaurants. I've had my stint of fine dining. I guess I'm just not very used to fancy food like that. Those Michelin star stuff. I went to have several 3-star Michelin restaurant, and then every single time I have it, I'm like, yum, look, it looks so fancy. But it cost me like $500-700 per head. If you guys are interested in which one I actually tried, it's Noma from Denmark, and a place called Single Thread over in very close to Napa in Healdsburg. It was very fancy and very refined. There are multiple layers of flavor, crunchiness and all this. It's like very nicely made, almost too nice and foo-foo to eat. But the simple person in me just really likes simple but fresh and really good food. And it actually tastes way better than, these super Michelin star restaurants. I don't know what it is. You would figure if it has a lot of stars, then, it must taste really good. But I just want to tell this story because I know some of these celebrity chefs out there, sometimes they would say the same thing. But it's a different story to actually go and try it and you realizing yourself that, yeah, that is correct. I rather have some super fresh beef soup, some things that are just, freshly caught. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it tastes a million times better. Enough about those fancy foods. Whenever I go to restaurants, I actually don't order a drink. It's just a habit of mine, just, because it's just really hard for me to bring myself to buy a $5 soda or a $10 alcoholic drink. I just feel like, hey, I could just put that towards my main meal. Or maybe, I don't have to spend on that drink. Drinks are typically very high margin and you're not getting much content. Most of the time it's just mostly sugar water. And I just feel like the value is not there. I'd rather spend it on, like a live fish. And I know some people might say, hey, I really want a drink to go with certain thing. It's just a habit of mine that I built. I can have water just fine with fried chicken. Actually, I like to have tea with my dim sum. It's just like a Cantonese thing. Plus, it's not too expensive, maybe like $1.50 or $2 per person. There's also a thing about frequency. If you have Michelin 3-star once in your life, twice, just to give it a try, it actually does not cost a lot. You amortize it over the entire year. And speaking of which, I just went to Maui and I had this Tristan lobster. It's like from Tristan, the island. It only comes from there for some reason. It was actually super sweet, sweeter than any other lobster I've ever had. It was very, very good indeed. So that's something I value myself. It's like trying this brand new thing I've never tried before, especially seafood. I really like trying new seafoods. And here's one last suggestion, courtesy of my friend. I went to a trade show one time and they were giving away Crocs, but they were bright pink. But no way was I gonna wear something like that. I just walked into a store, the Crocs store, and say, hey, can I exchange these? I didn't even use them, right? They're brand new. Exchange the pink one for any color that I wanted. So I swap them with these blue ones and now I can actually wear them daily versus the bright pink ones, which I won't wear. And if you can employ all these tips and tricks towards your recurring expenses, well, they keep on getting lower and lower. That's all I have to say for today. Thanks for watching this video. For this video, there's Mint Mobile that you can get a lower price mobile plan and also the ohmconnect thing. It works in California and also in Texas now. Check out those affiliate links down in the video description below. Thanks for watching this video. Until next time.